Moving on from that, we're gonna dive into She-Hulk episode 1. So spoilers ahead for anyone who has not watched the show. Obviously, go watch it. Come back if you don't mind spoilers. Stick with us. We'll be diving into spoilers for the entirety of episode 1. We'll withhold our spoiler thoughts or spoiler plot points for episode 2, 3, and 4 because obviously we're ways away from that and we cannot break embargo on those episodes. We can get in big trouble. Marvel is sniping us. So, anyway, who wants to go first on She-Hulk? Because I rewatched it. I found that it was better the second time around than the
Oh,
first watch, but I want to hear you guys' thoughts first.
I just watched it before we got onto this for while I was eating dinner. And I enjoyed it. Like me, if my fiance were watching, like we were having a good time watching it. Like I really wasn't like annoyed at anything. And to me, like I was kind of expecting like, with all the hype of the internet that the CG would be complete garbage. It was fine for me. I'm not very picky. I didn't have any issues with it. Like obviously things could always
Gotcha.
be better, but like nowhere was I watching and it was like, oh, that's rough to see. I never had a problem with that. It's just maybe it's my eyes. But I had no problem with it. Like I said, things can always be better. But I thought it was fine. I think I really enjoyed She-Hulk and the actress playing. I thought the personality and like I just really vibed with the character. Just like Kamala, in Miss Marvel, I think they're just really likable characters. And then also like someone mentioned it, and I completely agree. As much as people thought like people hate on Smart Hulk, I feel like Hulk in this has been 10 times more interesting than the last little bits of Hulk we've gotten. Feels like he's very much in denial of like the stuff he's been through,
Right.
throughout the time as a hero and as the Hulk. I feel like he's dealing with trauma that he really doesn't realize. And
No,
I feel like we
he's
kind of,
suppressing that trauma.
yeah, absolutely. And we hear it within like him talking about like building the tiki bar with Tony, and Tony just kind of sat there, but like he was like remembering it so fondly, and like he misses his friend. Like they've dealt with crazy tragedy. Like all of them have ridiculous
Mm-hmm.
trauma in general. But like, I mean, he's got it a little bit worse because like he's literally dealing with like a second persona essentially. So like he's always in a battle with mental health. So but I feel like he
Right.
doesn't truly understand that or come to terms with it. So I like what we're seeing from the Hulk so far. Obviously, he's we just got that first episode of him, and I don't believe we're going to see much of him throughout the rest of the show. I if I'm not mistaken, but
I
either way,
hope we
I
do.
like what we got to see.
He's
He's sprinkled
sprinkled
in.
around. He definitely has a scene in the next episode.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all I'll say. I'm not gonna give any context because obviously
Yeah.
that'll be spoiler territory, but he does have a scene in the
Yeah.
next episode.
But
So.
I liked what we saw of him and like how he has like his lab, and he was really worried for her. Like, I don't know. I enjoyed, and I also enjoyed their chemistry as well. And, they kind of seemed like siblings for the most part.
Mhm.
But yeah, I enjoyed the show. I'm excited to see what we get next. I like it a lot.
Um, I'm not going to say I like it a lot yet. I definitely wish that I jumped on to see the first 4 episodes because I think maybe I would have liked it a lot if I saw all 4 already. But
Mhm.
besides that, and me crying about that, the CG like exactly right. I'm like I should have just listened to Ozzy. Hey, we have the screeners. I should have just hopped on. I don't know
Right
why I
away.
did it.
Right away.
I should have listened. But besides that, CG wise, better than what we saw in the trailers, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. I will say like this because I like Boozer, you also probably know this with the touch of the like with a graphic design background and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hair is still one of those things that is almost impossible to replicate in a believable fashion when it comes to VFX art. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
completely
Like
agree.
CGI,
Yeah.
it's one of the hardest things. Doing it in water, doing it in regular things, unless everybody is CG, hair is tough. This is
Yeah,
why, like
absolutely.
in scenes, when the scenes like she was doing yoga and she had her hair tied back and all that, that's what I think those were the best shots in her in daytime, right? But when she has her hair flowing and all that kind of stuff in the brighter lighting with the like all the the daytime like filters, that's when it's hard to stomach a little bit of the CG with her face going through as well because it's not her natural hair. It's just her face, like in the middle of a whole bunch of CG hair. That's always I give them credit for doing as good a job, because obviously I know I
Yeah,
can't.
no, you're right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's where the CG is always a little iffy. I'm not going to lie about that. But Hulk looks better than he has in a long time in there as well. But again, they've had plenty of practice with Hulk. I definitely can say yes, this Hulk has given me a little bit more of a, liking to him, but I still hate what they've done with this Hulk in the MCU. I'm not a fan of how they portrayed him at the lead at all in these last like how many movies that he's been in. But everything else, I think they're capturing little bits of who the She-Hulk is and how she is in the comics, breaking from the fourth wall, and the quirky attitude, and her just being fast, funny, and everything like that, quick-witted, and I think that's pretty solid. You know what I mean? I have really nothing to say too bad about this episode, besides saying, okay, fine. But again, I you have it marked down in our notes and everything. I think the highlight of the whole episode were the Captain America jokes.
For sure.
And that after credit scene, because that after credit scene had me
that was good
dying. Like, so I was just like, I think
it's probably is up there with one of the best ones in the MCU.
It is. I think
in a long time.
The best overall best one ever. And I'm just like, I started dying.
And she's just so like, again, she's just like a very likable character. I just think she's a very likable character.
Very chill. This is honestly geared toward a more adult audience now.
Oh,
yeah,
you can tell
right off the bat. It's a lawyer show, as she kept on saying. The tone is there, because guess what? Like, any little kids watching that, and even with it cut off, Captain America, like, yo, come on, like, they know
these kids are smart. These kids are smart. They're not stupid. These kids are smart.
And if you have subtitles on, you see the first two letters, so it doesn't matter.
Our brains can fill in the blanks.
Exactly.
Definitely. But I remember first seeing that post credit scene where where Bruce reveals that Captain America does indeed fuck. And I see it, and I'm just like, no way they just pull some shit off like this. On a Disney Plus show on top of that. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I gotta give props for them granted, it's not super explicit, but just the fact that they added that in the She-Hulk show, confirming that just the rumor, Captain America died a virgin, because this guy was just battle. As she mentions, he's after world-breaking event after world-breaking event. This guy has no time to go get some ass, but he found some time to go get some ass.
Remember,
he had to return that
America's
hammer.
Ass.
America's
ass,
bro. The passion behind that ass, I felt it deep in my soul. Like it's like girl, you right. Girl, you right. You absolutely right. That ass did not deserve to die a virgin. It did not deserve to die a virgin. You absolutely right.
Real quick, Ozzy, before you go into yours, I just want to mention agree with Ed. Like, I definitely agree that like hair, like completely what you said is right. Like, hair is one of the hardest things to get right when it comes to like trying to CG hair. It just ends up looking off, and that's understood. And that's why like for me, and especially like her face is one of the most human faces for like CG. Like, yes, you have Hulk. He has a lot of texture. He has this facial hair. He has more rough skin than say the female does. Female She-Hulk. And then also you have like, say, people will say like, oh, what about Thanos? He has that giant chin, purple skin.
He's literally supposed to be out of this world.
Yeah. Like, so like when it comes to like our brains, if it's a little more foreign or something like that, we won't notice CG as much when it's literally supposed to be human, like a replication of a human face. Our eyes, even with fantastic CG, our eyes are going to be like, this feels the uncanny valley is like an inescapable. Like it's so hard to get past that. But totally. In general, like, yes, they could do better with certain things, and I think they definitely are way better than what the trailers gave. But for me, like, I am trying to go into this with like, as long as it's not horrible, I'm gonna let my brain not really care too much about it. You know what I mean? Knowing all the things that I know about, with CG and what they budget they had, and we know all these people are overworked like crazy and stuff like that. So
exactly.
My brain's like, listen, as long as it's not hot garbage,
I'm
really just not gonna.
There is talks about Marvel Studios opening their own VFX company now because of all the projects they got coming on, and all the stuff all the backlash they've been facing with overworking VFX artists and underpaying them on top of that.
So they're just going to overworked them anyway, and their
Again,
in-house ones.
Well, I guess
like,
one thing that
oh
I
my
don't
God.
I haven't read I don't know I'm not speaking from like I know any information on this, but is it that because like they're paying VFX companies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Are they
multiple.
being overworked for the most part by Marvel having deadlines and then that company being like, y'all got to meet these we got to meet these deadlines? Or like
According to
I'm
these,
sure it's pressure from Marvel wanting the deadline,
Mhm.
obviously,
you know.
but I think it's more. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Based on what these video effects artists are saying, is they're pointing all the fingers at Marvel
Yeah.
specifically. They're not talking about their in-house
Mhm.
higher ups. It's like Marvel has deadlines.
Mhm.
They add extra pressure when we're not meeting those deadlines, or they change those deadlines. And then once those deadlines are met, they come back with the same project and they want some reworks to add a more stringent deadline to it.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, we're working 60, 70 hours a week trying to meet these deadlines, and
Yeah.
it's just too much stuff going on, and we can't meet these deadlines.
I will say if they do
So
their own in-house studio, it could allow for a little bit easier control and communication, and also would put more eyes on them. Like if you continue to overwork them, like you don't have anyone to blame. Like you can't say like, oh yeah, we have some deadlines, but the company could have just told us like we can't make this deadline, and we would have been like, okay, well, maybe we'll delay, and you guys can get things done. They won't have
Right.
any of that excuse that they can pull.
Yeah.
Because
See,
if
but
it's
then
in-house, it's literally just like, oh, it's we could delay it, but we chose not to and made them work through it.
yeah, say like it was if you work for a big business as well as I have and everything like that, or an agency company, when they have an in-house place, they use the same excuses to the people that are their full-timers. Like, well, you signed on for this. It's not just a 40-hour week, it's for the projects and this and that.
Yeah.
So like when it's in big business, it's a little bit easier for them to say, you know what, here's your pizza party for all the things
Pizza
for
parties fix
all
everything.
the 80 hours of
Always.
work. And guess what? I'm pretty
they
sure they
treat
won't
work
pay
like Chuck E.
overtime.
Cheese, bro.
You know, yeah. Oh yeah, it's
treat work
ridiculous.
like Chuck E. Cheese.
It's the saddest thing in the world. I've done it myself. I fell into that same fucking shit with like 65 to 70 hour weeks for what? Like, I'm like, we're not saving lives here. I'm like, we can tell the client back up, but
listen,
guess what?
I went to work 3 days out of a vacation, 7-day vacation I had. It was a staycation, and literally the thing that needed to get done, no one was trained in except for me. And they were like, we need to get it done. And I was like, you know what? I could use the extra money. I'm gonna keep my vacation time and I'll come into work and I get 3 extra days paid that week. All right. I was like, listen, I need the money right now.
Tough. It's tough.
Yeah,
so like,
it's a tough thing.
but like, I'll never do it again. That was like maybe like 4 years into working there. Now I'm 12 deep. I'm never doing something like that.
Oh, now 12 deep. So like in between after that 4 year, you're saying nothing happened since then? Sure.
Not really. That was a time when I really wanted to try to get promoted and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And like you try to do those extra things to show that you're a team player.
Yeah.
And no one ends up caring. So
yeah,
I would say like after like year 5, I pretty much gave up trying any of like that. I'm a team player. I'm willing to go above and beyond because at the end of the day, they don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I did the same thing when I went to Virginia recently. Granted, there was an agreement that I would work, partial, a couple hours a day. But I ended up having to dedicate at least 2-3 days almost of work on that vacation because my coworker decided to quit work the day I left for my vacation. So I'm just like,
damn.
That just threw a whole wedge into the vacation, even though I agreed to work some hours. Now I got to work more hours.
You didn't agree to that.
You know what I mean? I didn't agree to all that. That wasn't the agreement because I was supposed to have backup. You know what I mean? There was supposed to be somebody there. But I mean, it is what it is. It happens. Next time, I'll just bite the bullet and just take. I'll just take my week off and just go.
That's not biting a bullet. No. That's not biting a bullet. That's taking
when you got
when I
got bills to pay. What's the nerdy basement pay?
You're still getting paid. You're still getting no. This wasn't an actual vacation week. This is days that I. Okay. So you were actually okay. This was an actual PTO. Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's
pay time
PTO.
off.
Exactly.
So all right. No. Okay. Fine enough. But guess what? Like Jennifer Walters, she's a fucking lawyer, and she makes way more money than us, even not being a superhero. So it is.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really have. There's only so much I can personally add to what you guys have already said about She-Hulk because we can't really talk about the other episodes yet.
Well, you can't anyway.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, neither
Sorry,
of us
salty.
can't.
I'm so salty.
Nobody can. Nobody can. Even if you've seen it, you can't talk about it. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the episode. I mean, I enjoyed it even a little more the second time I watched it. I watched it before we got on. Just like Booze, I was eating dinner and I was like, you know what? Let me just rewatch the episode. I've seen it already, but let me just rewatch it now without the big watermark in the middle of the fucking screen blocking half the lip movement from Jennifer Walters when she's talking. You know, because she's so short.
Also, come on, Disney. Listen, one thing I love about anime screeners is like at least they put it like it's big, but like at least it's like in the corner.
Yeah.
Like
right. Or sometimes you don't even get it at all when you get like an anime screen.
Yes,
you don't get it
some
at
of
all.
them. Yeah, which is like
It's trash.
Or like the Netflix one is right at the top of the edge of the screen. I ain't gotta worry about it.
Like you mean
but
to tell me
Disney, Disney and Marvel, dead smack center of the screen is like, bro, move that shit. I'm trying to enjoy the show.
And they don't even. You mean to tell me that they can't have like an embedded image into there that like they can look over with a specific like computer program?
They have that.
That technology has to exist. Isn't that how like a lot of the Content ID and stuff like that works?
Crazy.
Just do that. Like,
yeah, I mean they can do.
If
that.
someone leaks a clip, look at the clip, see what the embedded.
Listen, we've received screeners where they can track your IP address
easily.
And it's embedded into the screen
watermark.
Yeah, they don't
remove the screener.
I remember.
I mean, not the screener, like, remove the watermark.
Yeah. Remember, we've had issues with trying to see screeners around the same time that it'll bounce us out before. Like they won't even let you log into multiple times, even though you have the access. I'm like, why? Just because I'm in North Carolina, Ozzy's in New Jersey, shouldn't mean that we can't watch it at the same time. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
dude, you know what's ridiculous. Also horrible? I one time I was trying to access a screener, and it was it wouldn't start, and I just refreshed the screen, and it counted as a whole view.
That I've seen that.
I was like, what? Come on.
Counted
as a whole goddamn view, and I just refreshed the screen.
They be trifling. But yeah, going back to She-Hulk. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's not much I can really add. I enjoyed the episode. I feel like her origins were a little too glossed over. Granted, I know what they were going for. And like I said in the group chat earlier today, they're not really, Marvel's not really focusing on the typical origin stories that we've gotten before, where you're spending 2 hours with this character learning about their origins to then get thrusted into the story that they really want to tell. With Jennifer Walters, this episode, you got her origin here. We're thrusted back into the lore show because that's the show and the story we want to tell. Granted, it was fun to hear her banter back and forth with Bruce Banner, with the Hulk and whatever. Learning about their personal family dynamic, because we never seen them interact in the MCU before, obviously. So, seeing how Hulk, has become a little more interesting now that he's dealing with a lot of their trauma, like Boozer said, and seeing him suppress those emotions and not want to face them because he's already dealt with enough and having to fight his inner demon, which is essentially the Hulk. And not wanting to deal with all of that other personal stuff. But obviously, the comedic timing is there. The chemistry is there. The VFX, obviously, some parts look great, some parts don't. There's a scene in episode 2 where it looks, it is so tough. It is so hard to look at. But, I mean, it is what it is. That's the final product. What can you do? You just got to accept it for what it is. But yeah, I mean,
I will add one more thing too, because you did bring up a good point and everything like that with the origins and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure all they're doing is making sure that it still links up to like Secret Invasion and all that kind of stuff, because like it's comic wise, it was because she was working a case, you know what I mean, and then they tried to assassinate her and she was almost killed. Bruce was there for this specific case, and he had to give her an infusion to save her. He was like, okay, I know this might fuck you up, but I'm going to do this anyway. And that is, so it was the added layer. She was already working cases for superhuman stuff.
And I would have preferred, that aspect of the origin story. Granted, we got the car accident part, where, the car is attacked and whatever, but, she gets into some car accident because some random Sakaar ship just plops down in the middle of the road. I mean, we could have done a little better than that, especially when we start the episode. We're already in the middle of her prepping for the closing statements of a case that she's already tackling. Yeah. So, I mean, you could have interwoven that into that actual case and given us a little more of the source material. but granted, it is what it is.
I would say the only thing is like if she's like already working, like it's tough because I feel like that would involve like several episodes of us already establishing her being a lawyer, already establishing her working cases, and then eventually, and then we're finally getting to her powers, like maybe several episodes in out of 9 episode season.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
It
mean,
would
I
be a
don't
little
know.
tough, like management, because like we would really just be, we would have to introduce her already working cases and then we'd just be getting her powers maybe within 2 episodes max, 3 episodes, I think, to really, and then now she finally has her powers. Then she has to navigate, them for maybe an episode or two. I feel like whatever plot there would be for a narrative, like, whatever the conflict is, I feel like that would take a back burner aside from like Secret Invasion or something like that. But I don't think they want to incorporate that really to the.
Well, I can at least like attest to the fact that I'm like, you know what? If she didn't have her powers right away, I think I would have felt some type, like I would have been bored because
That's what I mean. I feel like it would have been a little. I feel like
Yeah.
it would have been a little boring.
Yeah, because like think about it, the funnest part about being a Hawk is that anything can trigger you. So
Yeah.
now so she gets triggered in court, but it's only but she's able to control it way better than what Banner has. And they were making that very obvious, which is kind of fucked up because honestly, I'm like, I get it. All right, you're giving woman power and all that fun stuff. She's way better than Banner. Okay, thank you. But I'm like, you didn't have to rub it in his face so much. I'm like, I don't like this Banner either. But
personally, I love that he was just like, he's like, okay, this is like uncharted territory, and he's just like ripping out pages.
You know what I mean?
I just
it's just.
But I'm also
I
like, listen, in all fairness, he definitely showed off his strength way more than her. He like it was lovely. I thought, like I said, I enjoyed their chemistry because it felt like a brother sister chemistry. Like they're both trying to one up each other. My man's is throwing a friggin' boulder out of our atmosphere, like
a literal comment and shit.
He still shows it. He's like, "Hey, I'm not happy that this is so easy for you." Like, and I get it.
He was,
and
again, that's more to his trauma. He was frustrated. He's like, "Why do you get the easy shit? Why did I have to go through a 15-year-long journey?"
Also, one of the biggest thing is if you didn't catch it, or at least I that's how I interpreted it. I think he was happy to know that there was someone else that was going to go through the same shit he did.
Yeah.
So he wasn't as lonely anymore.
Yeah,
he needed companionship. Yeah, he needed someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he wanted to.
And I think because
it hurt him.
It hurt exactly, and then her like literally twisting the dagger in his gut, like saying, "This is why you don't have any relationships now. You're not having it." Blah blah blah. Tony was one of the few people that he still had. Obviously, the bar scene. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say. But like obviously. Captain America was the best scene. So
that was the highlight. There's also I think there's not that I think, but there's a scene in the next episode that I think a lot of people are going to be talking about that's going to point to something. And if you guys, if anyone has been watching any of the interviews from the launch event this past week for She-Hulk, I think there's some stuff in there that kind of points into what the next episode hints at.
Okay.
But obviously, I can't spoil anything because Marvel's over there like
Feige.
Feige's over there sniping.
Dude. Yo, look behind you. Look.
Screen's black.
It's gonna cut off.
Just see Kingpin right behind it.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, overall, it's a solid introduction to She-Hulk, and despite the little gripes and whatnot, I think it's super solid. The story they're trying to tell, I think, is enjoyable, it's fun. The cast is great. The supporting cast has also been great. I'm only going off episode 1 just to be specific, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it.